because a lot of normal people are too scared to look outside the box. They enjoy the 9-to-5 existence, they enjoy the capitalism and the consumerism, but I think once you've experienced more than just a mundane existence is when you start to understand that certain things that have been plastered as bad aren't bad. 9-to-5 conditioned people is what I'm going to call them, are scared of people that are different, because it's such an extreme that they're like, well, why can't I be like that? And the answer is always, you can be like that.
The energy of the whole world is contained in nature, and in our bodies we're a reflection of that. So to me, being out in nature is natural, and being in a building stuck behind a desk in an office is just inorganic and fake.
The fact that we're on this planet spinning around and round and round, being influenced by the sun and indirectly then by the moon and the tides and the seasons, gives us a sense of identity. I think as a kind of modern people with modern technology, we've kind of lost touch with the earth. The earth I'm sitting and treading on here has been around a lot longer than I have or will be. And so there's an element of reverence. If you understand that everything ultimately is alive, then you can show a living thing respect.
It's difficult to make a difference as just one person. You can do those little things, but it's very challenging because you're working constantly against people who don't have the same values as you.
I mean, the environment itself, nature, everything else is, as I said, it will outlast us. It's outlasted this long, and all we are is a parasite, and parasites go. But we have to make this place as nice as we can for our human experience. Everything on this planet has a soul. So if you are to take something from a forest, give something back. If you have a bottle of cider, just a little bit of cider. You give a little bit of tobacco. You leave of yours, and that's a sign of respect. It's nature taking nature and nature giving back nature.
So for pagans in particular, we understand that everything is ultimately and intimately connected. That we will feel different at different times of the year, and our emotions will fluctuate with the phases of the moon. And there are times of growth and relaxation like the summer. And there are times of introspection and considering kind of what we need to do next.
We've not been living in collaboration with nature, so it's eventually it's going to bite us. Get outdoors at least and notice the changes. Notice the fact that bumblebees are disappearing and that things are changing visibly.
There was always this kind of inner tension within me. Am I just weird? Am I the black sheep of my family? The trees had different kind of energies attached to them. So some parts of the woods would be very friendly and welcoming, and other parts would be kind of quite hostile. And so you gravitate towards the areas where you feel kind of comfortable. I remember having two aunts who were quite extraordinary ladies. They kind of always lived in the middle of nowhere, and they were vegetarian, and they were kind of quite scary and old, And apparently when I was born, they asked for the exact time and place of my birth. Now clearly the only reason to do that would be to draw up an astrological natal chart. And they took in evacuee children during the Second World War and taught them herbalism and treecraft in the New Forest in the 1940s. I don't know if witches are born or made. That's a big question. I know that people can be interested in witchcraft and can certainly practice witchcraft for a while, but ultimately that's not their path. But for some of us it kind of probably is. From about the age of 12 to about 17, 18, I called myself a witch. I practiced witchcraft. I got regularly in trouble at school, which eventually I got expelled from. My life then went through a bit of a meltdown, and I became a Christian. And I realised in that context I could learn more about magic. I could practice healing. I worked doing exorcisms and healings and all sorts of other things like that, simply because for me that was the easiest way to develop kind of what was inside me. So I have variously been a witch, a Christian, and a witch again.
I think when I was very young, I must have been about 10, I was bullied quite heavily about it at school because it was just something I'd just started to discover. And I couldn't put a name to it or a word to it, but all of them, I lived in Spain at the time, used to call me bruja, which obviously means witch, so they obviously knew before I did. And they knew I was something just a little bit off about me. Throughout my whole life I'd had this kind of connection with nature and connection with an energy within myself that I couldn't really describe. It was an intangible, kind of chaotic energy. I think I must have been 13 when I really understood that I was just slightly abnormal in some way, and that that was when I discovered witchcraft. I say that in inverted commas because it sort of discovered me, it found me. Feeling a lot of purpliness from that side of the ritual. You're purple, you're purple, you're purple, and you're purple. I don't expect everybody to understand it or believe in it or think it's real. I can only go on my own experience, and what they believe is absolutely nothing to do with me. So, I can show them if they're willing, if they want to.
I mean, I come from, I have a line of Norse and Viking heritage. My last name is Visenga, which comes from somewhere near Denmark. As a human being, I believe we should always be sceptical. But on that note, I also believe that we shouldn't be so sceptical that we don't believe. So until I have found something that truly ignites a fire in my soul, I keep journeying, I keep digging the hole until I find that one thing that I can believe in, or I do believe in, or I feel I have no choice but to believe in. I mean, I'm 23, I've still got my whole life ahead of me to decide what I need to believe in, but I mean, paganism and witchcraft is very anti-dogmatic, which again is for me is a massive selling point. It's a massive interesting point because for so long you've been taught that you have to listen to a priest. Go on, get a little headshot. Yeah. I'm not going to go into detail, but my family dynamic was blown apart when I was about 13, and I lost kind of my mother, and then I kind of found liberation through that, and I found heavy metal music, and I found punk rock, and I found tattoos, and all this quite extreme stuff, and I found Satanism, and it was all quite interesting and very extreme from the Christian ideals that I had while she was alive, and through then you wear a lot of black, and you kind of you end up wearing makeup, long hair, and all a bit. And so you get a lot of stigma from that, and a lot of people call you a freak and a weirdo, and you grow out of it. I have had attacks on the way I look, on the way I dress, the way I act, what I'm into. The only opposition I ever have, and I can say this genuinely and honestly, is from the elderly. Their generation was told that wearing long hair and wearing leather and listening to rock and roll was bad because it's the devil's work, or it's not good for the economy, and these ideals have stuck with these people.
The thing I think that is the most important aspect of being a witch and calling yourself a witch is that the entire history of witches is oppositional, that we exist as a voice that stands in conflict with views that are commonplace. So the witch has always been a feared character in history, and the witch has always spoken out against injustice.
The nature of magic is really misunderstood. People have this image of like crackling blue balls of light being thrown at each other, and Harry Potter and all of that kind of thing. But it's a lot more subtle. It's a lot more about self-empowerment and a feeling of life's energy.
Magic is using willpower to change things. It's when you can actively change your world, or you can bring something into your world, or you can make something leave, or you can give something power.
The sunshine shining through the trees, the smile of a pretty girl, my grandson looking up at me. But magic is also the art of changing consciousness at will, recognising change and maybe lining ourselves up with that rather than fighting against it all the time.
It's the powerful energy that keeps us breathing and keeps us alive and keeps us in this world. To me, magic is everywhere. It's catching the bus that you thought you were going to miss, and it's waking up in the morning to a beautiful sunrise. In a ritual setting, it's a little bit different. It's consciously taking our awareness to a certain direction to create a new reality for ourselves. It's just changing your focus, and the world changes all of a sudden. Fire is all about spontaneity and energy and passion. So if anybody is feeling spontaneous and feeling it, no, I don't have anybody. I couldn't find anybody in time.
And a lot of people see it through coincidence, which once you learn that coincidence isn't, for me it's not a thing. Coincidence is synchronicity. And that is the universe giving you a nod that you're doing the right thing, or that your will has been received, or your intent has been received. If you so wish to believe that there is nothing more than what you see, then I respect that, but how boring. If all you can see is this, what's the point, man? Like if the universe shows you that there is more than what it is, embrace it, go for it, play with it, enjoy, because it's a pretty mundane existence we've got, and if you can affect that mundane existence by bringing what you need and what you want into your life and affecting the world around you in a very positive way, then do it.
This card here represents yourself, or an aspect of yourself, and you've got the Pope. The Pope represents a structured and authoritarian religion and belief systems. So this could indicate that you are either regarded as a bit of a guru or a leader in that sort of area, or that you are looking for that in some aspect of your life.
I always fancy myself as a cult leader.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe you get with that card. It can also be a call not to allow your thoughts to become too regimented in the spiritual realm, not to be held back and not cut yourself off from the organic feminine energies that are out there, because the Pope represents structure, order and authority.
Hard line. Yeah. Okay.
So it's a call to sort of just check that.
I'm passionately fond of the world in which I live. The very fabric of it, the environment, the night sky, the sunshine. But I think too that I recognise that there are also things that I'm less than happy with. I'm less than happy with people being bullied at school, or even being bullied by politicians. And so witchcraft actually gives me the opportunity to fight back. That sounds very confrontational. I don't kind of mean it like that. What I mean is that it gives me a way of changing the changeable. I don't know if you're aware, but some time ago there was a small African state that was basically running rape camps as a form of ethnic cleansing. And it didn't seem to matter what the rest of the world did, it still continues. Guardians of the East, Element of Air, I thank you for attending this ritual and bid you hail and farewell. I got so frustrated by that I went out and I cursed the leader of that nation and broke my staff over my knee, which was a very painful experience. Now, I'm sure I wasn't the only person doing that, but the following day he had been deposed and executed. Did it happen as a result of what I did? Yeah, of course it did, because every action has a reaction. And I think sometimes that's where witchcraft is at its most useful and its most dangerous. Gather in, all that's been said and done within. Gather in, all that's been said and done within. Gather in, let magic come.
It's helped me to become more confident, more aware of other people and myself. It's the laughter, you know, it's the joy of the world, and that's great. I'm so ecstatic to have found that in my life, because I think many people just sort of go through their lives feeling a bit miserable all the time. So it's a kind of serenity. It's, oh, I can be who I am, exactly who I am, and there's no needing to change my behaviour to be a good person or a bad person, or I don't have to go to confessional, and you know, I can just be myself without worrying about what everybody else thinks, and that's very liberating. So that's something that really draws me about witchcraft.
It has made me understand my place in this existence a bit more, and through that it has helped me understand my place among the other people a bit more. It really helped me kind of at least give me an into understanding why we're here, and I still don't have a reason why we're here, you know, that's something that people spend their entire life figuring out, but it's given me a kick in the right direction in what to look at and where to look and how to act and how to be. And that's what I've taken from all of this is that we do matter, and our place is something that we can understand.
I feel happier in my own skin. I know that the authentic version of Jonathan is the witch version. I've tried other versions and I didn't feel as comfortable. And now I feel comfortable because I actually don't really have any dogma to promote. I don't have any rules to adhere to. I just need to be genuinely me. I guess the one thing that makes me feel proud about being a witch is you can be a rebel and be inclusive and be part of something that is big enough to affect real change. And I guess I have been those things all my life. So for me, it is a sense of coming home, finding my identity, and having the good fortune to work with people who hold a similar view.